Okay, let's dive in. There's this one headline recently that really grabbed me. It was my Corey star hubby was gutted about my breast reduction, and fans' reaction was bizarre. Straight away, you think, okay, this is more than just a quick celebrity story. We're talking about Rhian Sugden. Many people in the UK will know her as a page three icon, from the tabloids back in the day. Her famous boobs were a huge part of her image, arguably made her a household name, really. I mean, she got, what, 100,000 pounds for his celebrity Big Brother, mostly because of that fame. But what we're really digging into today isn't just her being famous, it's this very personal decision she made to have breast reduction surgery. A big one, going from a 34HH, she spent 10,000 pounds on it.
Right. And that's really our mission here, isn't it, with this deep dive? It's not just, oh, a celebrity had surgery. It's definitely not just about how things look. We want to unpack the surprising physical side of things, the emotional stuff, and honestly, the social aspects too, because the reactions she got were, as the headline says, bizarre. And there's a real personal cost involved here. It tells us a lot, I think, about how we see public figures, about body autonomy, and these kind of weird pressures that come with being in the public eye. It goes way beyond just celebrity gossip.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised by some of the twists in the story as I looked into it, especially, like you said, the public reaction part. I think you'll find that really interesting. So maybe let's start at the beginning. Rhian's journey, how her body became so, well, central to her public image. She burst onto the scene really young, right? Like 19, as a glamour model. She was tiny then, a size 6, but already a 32D. Then, fast forward a bit, she marries Oliver Meller. He used to be in Coronation Street, which is a huge soap here in the UK. They married in 2018. And then, this is tough, they went through 6 years of IVF, 6 years, before finally having their baby George last May. A miracle baby, she called him. And that pregnancy, that's when things really shifted for her physically.
Exactly. Her body changed dramatically. That's when her breasts grew to that 34HH size. She called them absolute backbreakers, just imagine. And the pain, especially after George was born, she said it became unbearable. Breastfeeding made it even worse. We're talking like constant ache in her back and neck. Her posture got noticeably worse. She even had permanent dents, in her shoulders from her bra straps. She basically said she was living on painkillers just to function day to day.
Wow. That just sounds awful, completely debilitating. It really makes you think, doesn't it, how much something purely physical can just take over your whole life. So beyond that physical pain, which sounds bad enough, what else did it do? How did it impact her daily life and how she saw herself?
Well, that's a really important point. It wasn't just the physical pain, it hit her hard emotionally too. Even though she was, a healthy size 10 or 12 around her waist, her top half was just so out of proportion. She talked about not being able to wear nice clothes because nothing fit right, or feeling huge, feeling really on show if she just wore a simple vest top. Can you imagine? And buying dresses, almost impossible.
She said she often ended up in trouser suits with big blazers, just trying to cover herself up. That really speaks to losing a sense of comfort in your own skin, doesn't it? Even for someone whose image was built on their body.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that she didn't just jump straight to surgery. She tried other things first, didn't she? What were those? And what was the tipping point, the moment she thought, right, that's it?
It really shows how much pain she was in, the fact that she explored other options first. She hired a personal trainer, tried to strengthen her back muscles. It helped a bit, she said, but, well, she admitted she hated going to the gym.
Yeah. And she took up swimming too. Pretty seriously, like 2 or 3 miles a week. But even that had this bizarre downside for her. When she did breaststroke, her boobs would apparently lift me up to the front, she said, like they're making me float. Which sounds weird, but it meant the swimming position actually caused severe aches a couple of days later. So yeah, I was facing these constant problems, trying things that didn't really work or caused other issues that led her to feel enough is enough. Surgery became the necessary step, not just a cosmetic choice, a real shift in thinking.
Which brings us to the operation itself. Over 10,000 pounds she paid for it. It was a reduction and an uplift, done privately in Warrington by a Dr. Hussein. 4 hours in surgery. And then looking at, 4 to 6 weeks of recovery, she mentioned being nervous about scars, which is totally understandable, but mostly she was just excited for the relief.
And this is where the story, for me anyway, takes a really unexpected turn. You'd think people would be supportive, right? Understanding, given everything she'd been through, the pain, the cost. But Rhian said she was genuinely shocked by the onslaught of criticism after she announced it.
Shocked is putting it mildly, I think. The backlash sounds, well, bizarre, as she put it. I was absolutely floored reading about one guy in particular. a fan. He apparently messaged her saying he'd invested in my career over the years, his words. And when he found out she'd had the reduction, he started demanding his money back. Can you actually imagine that
Mm-mm.
level of entitlement? She said, it's like he feels he owns my boobs because he's bought content in magazines over the years.
Wow.
And it got worse. He apparently made threats like, how dare I remove the boobs? His life isn't going to be worth living. It got so bad she actually had to call the police.
That is deeply disturbing. That specific interaction, I mean, it really shines a light on this whole issue of parasocial relationships, doesn't it? Where some fans feel this intense and frankly unhealthy connection, this sense of ownership over a public figure's life, even their body. And she said this wasn't just a one off either, that a lot of my fans, so to speak, have been absolutely devastated by her choice.
Devastated over someone else's medical decision.
It raises huge questions, doesn't it, about that fan celebrity dynamic. From Ryan's point of view, you can only imagine how difficult it must be dealing with people having such strong opinions on my body, people acting like it's the end of everything, especially when she was very clear this was about her health too, not just cosmetics.
It's just such a weird, complex situation. And even her husband, Oliver Meller, his first reaction might surprise you a bit. She said he was initially gutted, his word, because, well, he always loved my boobs.
Yeah, that's interesting too, isn't it? It shows how even the people closest to someone in the public eye can sort of internalize that public image or at least get very used to it.
Hmm.
His initial reaction probably wasn't meant badly, just genuine surprise at a big change.
Right.
But she said he did come around. He understands why she needed it. She even joked, he'll be happy for me to stop moaning about my backache.
Probably true.
So, it shows how ultimately the reality of personal health and pain can override even long held preferences about looks.
So, looking ahead now, post surgery, what's she hoping for? What are her expectations?
Well, she's hoping to be around a C or a D cup, something closer to her size back when she started modeling. But she's also being very realistic about it all. She knows, they are never going to be my 19-year-old boobs again. That's a direct quote. And she's aware there might still be issues, like things not being perfectly symmetrical or the skin being thinner after years of strain. It's not about turning back the clock. It's about finding a healthier, more comfortable place for herself now.
Yeah, it really does feel like closing one chapter and starting a new one. She summed it up pretty well herself, didn't she? She said, it's the end of an era for my boobs. They've definitely been at the forefront of my career, but it doesn't mean it's the end. I'm just trying to get them back to their perky self. A different kind of perky, maybe.
Exactly. And I think this whole deep dive into Rhian Sugden's experience, it really highlights this tricky balance, doesn't it? Between a public identity, personal well-being, and these often totally unrealistic expectations from an audience. It makes you ask, who actually gets to decide about a public body? Where's the line between appreciating someone and feeling like you own a piece of them, particularly now, online?
Yeah, it really does. So maybe a final thought for you to chew on. In a world where we see so much of public figures, where they can feel almost like public property sometimes, what does personal autonomy truly mean? And maybe more importantly, how do we check our own expectations of others? Especially when the choices they make for themselves challenge the image we thought we knew. Something to think about, definitely.